Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another achievement guide for State of Decay 2. This is a game that I played extensively when it came out and for a bit after that, but it has recently returned to Game Pass for free in its ultimate form. This is the Juggernaut edition of the game. It is, as far as I know, and I think the developers have confirmed this, it is complete. It is all of the achievements, it is all of the updates. They are moving on to State of Decay 3 after this. So if you complete all of the achievements for this Juggernaut edition of the game, you're done. You don't have to worry about more achievements popping up, which is what happened to me. I played this game a lot, did everything there was to do, got the achievements as they kept progressing, got more and more, and then stopped for a while. Went away, put the game on the shelf, and forgot about it. But now that it was back in Game Pass, I wanted to jump in and finish off those achievements so I have this game fully completed forever. So what we're going to talk about today are 4 achievements related to the normal story mode, where you take a group of survivors into one of the towns or areas and go through the scenarios to complete it. There are the other story modes. There's like Trumbull Valley and Heartland. We're not talking about those. Those have achievements as well. You can get those. They're pretty straightforward. What I wanted to do was cover the achievements tied to the lethal difficulty. There is now this higher tier lethal difficulty that is above even the highest difficulty that they added previously in a former DLC to the base game. I did a full run through at the time of that highest difficulty, and it was difficult, but not too difficult if you knew what you were doing. You could fully prep, you had a squad of 3 that you brought into the new difficulty. You could preload them with supplies, and I had studied the game pretty well, and by loading them with the right supplies, they were all Red Talon operators. It wasn't too difficult to get through that former highest difficulty. But I wanted to do the same thing here, now revisit it on lethal and talk about the achievements that are tied to that mode. So that's what we're going to do today. The 4 achievements that we're going to talk about are a 3-hour tour, 20 gamer score for claiming 3 landmark outposts. Bless me now with your fierce tears, 5 gamer score to begin a session on lethal difficulty. Barbershop Quartet is 30 gamer score if you kill 1 of each of the 4 blood plague freaks on lethal difficulty. And then finally, Retrieve Biomass, 40 gamer score for killing a plague heart on lethal difficulty. So we'll start with a 3-hour tour because that is actually not tied to the lethal difficulty. One of the things that they added were special outposts. So there were always outposts in the game. You could establish a main base, which set up your buildings and your operation centers and all that kind of stuff. And then you could have outposts, which were like smaller. Maybe it's just a farmhouse, or maybe it's just a store in town that you could make as an outpost, which would just provide a little bonus. Maybe it provides 1 or 2 food a day. It provides ammunition a day. It provides power to your base, something like that. What they did is add to each of the maps, there's varied maps for this game mode. They added, each one has a single landmark outpost, and it's got a special icon on the map. You can see it. It is better than the regular outpost in that it gives you additional abilities. It is more special, and it is better in terms of the benefits that it provides to your main base. So what you need to do is go into 3 different maps, 3 separate runs, and claim that landmark outpost. You do not have to do it on lethal difficulty. I did 1 full run just to familiarize myself with the game. I haven't played in a long time, so I played on medium difficulty and built up and claimed a landmark outpost. No big deal. Then I went in and did an easy mode just to rush a landmark outpost, and it was maybe 5 minutes, right? So you could do 3 easy rushes to a landmark outpost and get this achievement, and you're done, no problem. But I wanted to save the 3rd one for the lethal run so you could see it here. Just know that it is not tied to that difficulty. However, it was a little extra difficult because now the blood hearts, or the plague hearts, create an area around them where you can't set up an outpost until you destroy the plague heart in the area. I don't think that was in the game when I played it those 5 years ago or so, whatever it was. But it's definitely there now. And the landmark outpost was just barely inside the sphere of influence of one of the plague hearts. So what should have been the easiest achievement ended up being the last one I got, because I had to kill the plague heart to remove it, to get rid of its sphere of influence, to then claim the landmark outpost. So you'll see me do it the difficult way here in this video, but it's much easier if you just want to rush this on 3 easy mode playthroughs. For Bless Me Now, Your Fierce Tears, this is actually very easy. You need almost no prep time to do this. Just start a new run in the lethal difficulty, and you'll get this on the loading screen when you hit like enter or start or whatever the button is. After you've selected your survivors and the map and all that stuff, you hit go, the loading screen starts, and you get this achievement. So it's actually very straightforward and very easy to do so. Barbershop Quartet is a little more difficult because you do need to kill these upgraded freak zombies. However, it's not too bad because they are so densely populated in this mode that they were just around my base. So my base was set up and you could just go outside the walls 10, 15 feet and they were all there in pretty abundant supplies. The one that was a little more difficult was feral zombies. They were in slightly less supply. I saw plenty of the bloaters and the screamers and the juggernauts around the base. I had to drive a little bit to see them, but they eventually showed up at the base as well. So I don't think you'll have too much trouble finding them, but they are by far, in my opinion, the most dangerous as well because they can leap and tackle and they can grab your car, and if they leap and grab you, you get instant blood plague buildup, and it doesn't take more than a hit or two to get an actual blood plague in this mode. So you need to be fully armed, heavy weapons. It takes a heavy rifle round to the head, more than one usually, to take these things out. So be prepared. If you have to go out and explore to find those ferals, do so with extreme caution, knowing you might very well lose a survivor. The last one is, of course, the big one, retrieve biomass. You need to take out one of the plague hearts on this lethal difficulty, and that is much more of an experience, and if you can take out one, you could probably take out more than one. So let's talk really briefly about the experience in lethal mode and how it's different from the previous hard mode that they had added to the game a couple years back. So originally, for that hard difficulty, the way this mode worked was you would bring 3 survivors into a new run. And again, correct me if any of this is wrong in the comments. I'm going off of a bit of an old memory here, but I think I have this right. So at the end of a previous run, you would go and have this kind of final mission, this confrontation with a big zombie horde and a hostile group of survivors. And as soon as that mission ended, you immediately won the scenario and got the exit screen, and then you would pick your survivors to save and put into your pool to take into your next run. You didn't get to like go back and load up and save it. You had to like bring everything with you to that mission and have them ready to go. And so it was a little difficult to load them down with all this equipment and still have them complete whatever the challenge was for that end scenario. Not too difficult if you had well-trained red talent operatives and whatnot, but it took a little bit of planning and forethought. So I originally prepared the same way. I thought that the game still worked the same way when I was going into lethal mode. I had the 3 survivors that I was planning to move to bring with me. I loaded them with equipment, went to that final mission, completed it pretty easily. I actually got kind of a weird final mission where I could toss some grenades under an open garage door and take out the hostile enemies without too much trouble, and it went very smoothly. And then to my surprise, I found that you could just take your whole community as a whole set into a new mode. It was no longer just picking 3 survivors and starting fresh. You could bring everybody, including all of the stuff that they had at the base. And so I wasn't properly prepared for that. And I was kind of a mess because I just had 3 people carrying what I thought would be most useful in this lethal mode, when you could bring so much more and do so much more prep. So lethal mode was way harder than I expected. The blood plague buildup, the injury buildup, your people are going to get beat up very quickly. Any damage they take is going to be an injury, and then they're going to need to rest and be out of commission for a while. So you need medical supplies, you need a really good hospital, you need to keep people, when you go out, you're going to come back with an injury, so you're going to need really good medical facilities to get them back on your feet, so you're not just down and low on manpower to keep going out on more missions. So I vastly underestimated that, but I also underprepared because there's so much more I could have done in terms of loading up weapons and facilities and mods and upgrades, and that could have all been kept in the base, and I could have brought the whole thing with me. So you can prep so much more for this higher challenge, that the challenge is higher, but you can meet it and prepare for it more than I did. So I really struggled to get this Plague Heart kill but you could certainly do it a lot easier if you knew that going in. So that's one of the big things I wanted to make a point for in this video is proper prep means your whole base comes with you. So do all the things, have the base fully set up how you want it, have the medical facilities, have the mods, and then you'll bring all of that with you into your new mode. And then when all that's said and done, you just need to kill one plague heart. You don't actually need to win the scenario. So you can kind of do a suicide run, load up on explosives, load up on fire, load up on big heavy weaponry, and just go in there and you can take out the heart. You're gonna get swamped and then maybe your guy dies, but all you have to do is kill that one heart and then you'll get this last achievement. There is no achievement for finishing all of the plague hearts and finishing the mode. So again, the achievements are not as bad as they could have been for this up-tiered difficulty. It is very difficult, but you can prep for it and you only need to get one plague heart. You can muster enough resources. Even if you have to do 2 runs with, your first set goes and does half damage and then they get wiped out, you can send in a second run and take out the heart with enough explosives, with the fireworks cannon. There's lots of ways that you can get build up support and heavy weaponry that you can unload quickly on the plague heart to take it out. So it is a challenge, but it's not too crazy and it doesn't take a ton of commitment and the cost of failure is pretty low, right? You just need the one plague heart, you lose somebody, it's not a big deal. Go out and do it again. And as soon as that first plague heart's down, boom, you're done. And now the new total gamer score for completing State of Decay 2 is 2400 gamer score. And if you get these achievements, along with the other new ones in the other modes, you'll have finished State of Decay 2 forever. So good luck. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.